Hello my friends, Stevie B here. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my Cubase workflow for creating fast, sync-ready hip-hop loops. We're going to put something together from scratch in under 10 minutes using powerful tools like the Sampler Track, the Chord Pads, and the Chord Track. And I'll sprinkle in a bunch of workflow tips along the way to help you move quicker and faster. Let's get into it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do here is find a beat to work with. Let's maybe take something from our hip-hop vault, maybe something like this. That works, let's drop it in. And let's copy this out to 4 bars. Then I'm gonna hit T to pull up a new track. We're gonna choose Sampler Track. Let's add it. And then I'm gonna find some kind of soul sample to chop up. So we've got something here that I just quickly grabbed from Splice. Sounds kind of cool. Let's drag the sample right into our sampler track. And this loop is at a different tempo than our project tempo, which is at 90 BPM. So we're going to come down to the bottom left and hit Audio Warp and Sync. And our sampler track has also mapped this loop to the MIDI keyboard. So we can play the sample at different pitches. But there's a problem here. The sample is actually still too slow. I should be able to change this sample to double speed if I just divide this speed here at the bottom in half. We'll say 70. Now what happens? There we go. So if I want to play this loop in a different key, I can do so and the tempo stays fixed. So I want to chop the sample up a bit. What I'm going to do is come down here to the bottom left. We're going to hit Slice. And by default, the slicing function is looking at the transients in the loop. But I'm going to change this to grid. Now, if you want to change the amount of slice divisions in this loop, you can just increase the amount of bars here at the top. I'm just going to stick with 8. And these divisions are now mapped to your MIDI keyboard. However, you're probably noticing that there's some subtle clicks and pops there. And that's just because we're coarsely chopping this audio up. What I recommend doing is coming down here to the amp section on the bottom right, hit the modulator, and we can draw in just a little bit of a fade. And I'm also going to get rid of the decay completely. So now we get no clicks or pops at the beginning of the sample. And as soon as I release the note, we have no decay either, which I think just sounds a lot nicer for sample chopping. We can also zoom into the sample and move these grid lines around a little bit. Sometimes the perfect grid divisions won't line up with certain key parts of the sample, especially if the timing isn't perfect, things are a little loose. These grid markers are totally adjustable. Okay, so I got this loop ready to chop. Let's go ahead and throw down an idea here. Here we go. Okay, so that's pretty good. We can quantize this MIDI if we want it to be even tighter. Let's see how this sounds. That sounds pretty cool. So let's come back to the beat here just for a minute. And let's just say we want to add a bit more depth to it and layer it up. Maybe we bring in another loop, something like this could be cool. Let's drag that in. One thing I'll often do when I'm layering up multiple beat loops is divide the audio into equal chunks. It's really easy to do that in Cubase. So first I'll show you how, then we'll talk about why. So I'll select my scissors tool and then holding down Option or Alt if you're on a PC, let's make our cut. And just like that, I've instantly chopped up this whole loop into equal sized regions. Now, if I just undo that, I just want to show you that I can choose the length of division based on the first cut. So if I select half a bar here, for example, then we get 4 regions, or I can go much smaller, chop it right here, for example, and now we've got 16 different cuts. And the reason that I usually do this is that it just makes it really easy to make quick adjustments to the beat. For example, this little section here, it's a little messy. I'm just going to remove that and just copy paste a different section of this loop. Much nicer. And sometimes I'll get really detailed. For example, this hi-hat hit is a bit off the grid. I can nudge it if I wanted to, bring down the gain, or just delete it. And with the cuts already being made, it just makes things a little bit faster. So I'll just make a few quick edits here to this loop. Let's copy this out. Also, with everything chopped up here, it makes it really easy to manipulate the beat. For example, just listening to this last little bit. Maybe we take this out, just replace it with this. Nice. Maybe I'll just bring these back a bit, add some fades. So you get the idea. Quick interruption here to let you know, if you're digging this kind of content and want to go deeper, definitely check out productionmusicacademy.com. We've got a bunch of in-depth courses that line up perfectly with today's video theme, like the Lo-Fi Hip Hop Masterclass, Orchestral Hip Hop, and High Energy Hip Hop. Each one of our courses breaks down real-world techniques for producing sync-friendly tracks that actually get placed. You'll also get access to our private community of composers from all over the world, monthly challenges, track feedback, and a growing library of tools and resources to help you level up your production game. All of those links are in the description below. Go check it out. All right, let's get back to the beat. So I want to talk about a different tool that we can use here in Cubase to add some new textures to this loop, and that is the Chord Track. So I'm going to hit T again, and under More Tracks, I'm going to choose Chord Track. And let's say we want to figure out which chords were in this loop that we chopped up. So one way we can do this is, let's say we pull this loop back into our session. And I'll just make sure to time stretch this so it fits in our 4 bars. Any audio that I have here in this session, I can just click and drag it into the chord track. So I'll go ahead and do that for this loop. And Cubase will analyze the audio and instantly tell me what these chords are. So I'll get rid of this loop, we don't need it. And here's where things get interesting. So I can load up any VST. We'll try Voyager guitar here from Teletone, something I've been using lately. And with this track selected, let's pull up the chord pads. And we've got these chords here loaded up by default. I'm just going to hit this button to select all, and I'm going to delete these. And then I'm going to come up to my chord track and just drag these chords right into the pads. Okay, so we'll get rid of our chord track. I don't need that anymore. And the great thing about these chord pads, and probably a lot of people don't even know about this feature, is not only can we mess with the inversion of the chord, but we can also change the amount of tension. So for example, we could take this B flat minor 7th, maybe I'll add a 9th to it. So we can also use these up or down arrows to change the voicing. And another feature that I love is the player mode. If we hit this menu and choose pattern, we've got a ton of different presets to choose from. Let's try this epic piano ballad. I think we need something a little bit more straight ahead, simple. For this track, let's try groovy chords. Cool, that works. Let's put it down. So we can see that we actually have that pattern recorded in MIDI when we use those chord pads. And maybe I'll just do a little bit of cleanup on this. I'm going to get rid of these lower notes. And obviously we're using a guitar VST here, so it might be nice to have like a bit of a strum. And what I can do is just use the trim tool, and I'm going to hold down Option as I slice, which will just take off the front half of these MIDI notes. So just creating some chord flames here. How does this sound? Cool. And you know, if I want to take these guitars and make them sound more like ethereal and cinematic, we can use the shimmer plugin. This is one of my favorites. Check this out. I'll solo these guitars. So that's with nothing, no processing. And if we activate the shimmer, I'm going to use the mix on full, dialing out some of the highs and the lows, easing up on the feedback a little. We get something that sounds like this. Which adds this really nice cinematic pad to our loop. Okay, so a few final touches here to wrap this up. I quickly added an extra keys layer using Color's Lo-Fi tapes. Sounds like this. Really vibey. I put our 2 beat loops through a drum bus. I'm running these through some Wolf compressor and brightening things up a bit with the Pro Q. And I've also added some tasty vocal and brass shots. And the very last thing I'm going to do here is throw down a bass line. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Pretty vibey hip-hop loop built in just a handful of minutes using just a few key tools inside Cubase. If you picked up a tip or two, or if you enjoyed this type of video, hit that like button for me and consider subscribing for more production content like this. Please make sure to check out productionmusicacademy.com, and if you've got any questions or ideas for future videos, drop them in the comments below. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.